Hey everybody, it's Jimmy. Hope you guys are having a great day. So today's video is about New York versus Florida. Where is it better to live, New York or Florida? And I feel like I could talk about this because I grew up in New York and I still have family in New York and I still visit often to New York. And I've been living in Florida since 2011. So I'm going to give you my opinion. What is better to live? Should you live in New York or should you live in Florida? So let's get started. And in the meantime, do me a favor. If you would consider subscribing, it'd be greatly appreciated. And hit the bell notification so you're notified next time I upload a video. It greatly helps the channel out and it's much appreciated. So let's get started. New York versus Florida. Okay, the first thing we should talk about is the weather. New York has 4 seasons. And when I talk about New York, I'm not talking about upstate New York. I consider that like a different state. I'm talking, when I say New York, I'm considering the 5 boroughs, Long Island, that area. Okay, so keep that in mind. So, weather. New York has 4 seasons: fall, winter, spring, and summer. And Florida has pretty much 1 season, summer. I guess you could consider the winter the fall in some parts, you know, depending on where you are, southern Florida or northern Florida. So in the winter, Florida's beautiful. Like in the Tampa area, it's in the 60s, 70s. It'll drop down to the 40s and 50s sometimes. But overall, a light sweater, or you know, you still wear shorts and you can still go out and enjoy yourself. And in New York, it's cold, it's dark. It gets dark around 4:30 p.m. in the winter. It's clammy. You just want to be inside and you have to bundle up when you're going out. And that's why everybody, you know, that's why everybody moves to Florida when it comes to the winter. They come here to visit. They're snowbirds. They come here because you can't beat the weather in the winter in Florida. So when it comes to weather, I have to give it to Florida. Florida is the winner when it comes to weather. Yes, people like the 4 seasons, and yes, fall could be beautiful and crisp up in New York, but overall, Florida is the winner. If it wasn't for the weather in Florida, we would have half the population anyways. So let's go on to the next one. Cost of living. New York is expensive. Florida, some parts is expensive and getting more expensive as we move on. Insurance costs in Florida, I talked about it many times, ridiculous. Homeowners insurance and car insurance is ridiculous in Florida. But overall, okay, because of the cost of homes, in my opinion, and the cost of everyday items in New York, it's expensive. And it's still more expensive than in Florida. When I go back to New York and I visit and I go to, say, a Red Lobster over here to eat, like me and my wife, say dinner's about 80, 90 bucks. Well, I go to the same Red Lobster up in New York and it's like 130, 140. Food, when I go to the supermarket here and then when I go to the supermarket there, it just seems more expensive in New York. I know people make more money in New York, but for overall cost of living, I still feel, in my opinion, that Florida is cheaper. Is it getting more expensive as time goes on? Absolutely. I feel like sometimes that Florida is turning into a big New York with all the people moving down here. It's driving prices up. But cost-wise, I think that Florida is the winner. I think it's cheaper to live here. Maybe not in all parts. Some areas of Miami are super expensive. Even some parts of Tampa are super expensive. But overall, compared to New York, I think that Florida is more affordable, even with the insurance crisis. Job opportunities. So Florida is a big tourist place. So a lot of hospitality jobs here. restaurants, amusement parks, hotels. If you want that kind of job, Florida is the place to be. Hospitality jobs. And Florida, don't get me wrong, Florida's job market is changing. There's more tech coming in here, and there's more business industries, and big corporations are moving here to get away from the high taxes from other states. But overall, New York has better job opportunities. I've spoken to a lot of people that moved here from New York, and they didn't realize how much lower the salaries are compared to New York. And they regret it. I mean, they're like, okay, I gotta move back. I just don't make enough money here. And the opportunities, they told me that the opportunities in New York are much greater than they are in Florida, unless you're in the hospitality business. It is what it is. New York has more job opportunities from what I can see and from what everybody else tells me. So in the case of job opportunities, New York wins. Florida loses. Unless you're going into hospitality, then Florida wins. But overall, New York's the winner when it comes to this. This one's gonna be a short one. Taxes. So when it comes to taxes, New York has an income tax. Florida does not have an income tax. So Florida wins. Because even if you think about property taxes, Florida still wins, because yeah, depending on what you paid for the house in Florida and if you're a homestead or not, your taxes are lower. But in Long Island and parts of New York, the taxes are ridiculous, and I just see them going further up. So because of income tax and property taxes, Florida wins. New York loses on this round, in my opinion. Culture and entertainment. Now, Florida has a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of shows for entertainment. We have Walt Disney World, we have Universal, we got SeaWorld, we got plenty of entertainment. Is it cheap? No, it's not cheap. We got, museums, we got art museums, we have plays, we have a lot of concerts that come here, so Florida does. But in New York, you have entertainment and culture. New York City's, you have Broadway, you have things that Florida doesn't have. So when it comes to entertainment and culture, I'm leaning towards New York winning this one. Because when I was in New York, and I'm talking about outdoor activities, I'm talking about just going to some place for entertainment, Madison Square Garden, things like that, hockey games. I mean, Florida has plenty, but New York wins on that one. So culture, entertainment goes to New York on this particular one. Transportation. So when it comes to mass transportation, you have JFK, you have LaGuardia, you got West Islip, you got buses, you have trains, you have the Long Island Railroad, you got Ubers, you got Lyfts, you got taxis in New York. Florida, we have major airports, we have Lyft and Uber, but we don't have what I call a mass transportation system here in Florida. So when it comes to mass transportation, getting around on a bus or doing stuff, hands down, New York wins with mass transportation. I mean, you could be out in the Hamptons and you could just go to Riverhead, and you could jump on the Long Island Expressway and you'll be in the city. So I don't see how Florida can even compete when it comes to mass transportation, when it comes to what's better for mass transportation. New York wins this one. Hey, stay to the last one, because the last one is my favorite. Outdoor activities. Okay, so let's talk about outdoor activities. Florida has golf, it has tennis, it has fishing year-round, it has baseball you can play year-round, basketball you can play year-round. So basically, I can't think of a sport an outdoor sport that you cannot do in Florida all year round. Maybe I'm missing something, but comment below. In New York, once it comes winter, outdoor activities pretty much stop. You know, unless you bundle up and you're into running or something, and hopefully you won't slip on ice if it's snowing or something. But in Florida, you don't have that situation. Yes, it gets hot, it gets humid, but in New York, when I went fishing, yeah, I would get to go fishing 2 to 3 months out of the year, do some flounder or striper fishing, but then it's over with. Over here in Florida, I can fish all year round. If you want to play tennis outside, you can play tennis all year round. You can play golf all year round. You know, it's just, there's so much more that you could do here because we're not hindered by snow and ice. So when it comes to outdoor activities, I got to give it to Florida. And again, everybody, this is my opinion. Do me a favor, comment below what you guys think, but Florida wins the outdoor activity. Traffic. So yeah, we have traffic in Florida, and I'm not gonna, especially in the winter when the snowbirds are down. So, you know, I-95, you know, just all the different highways, we'll have bumper to bumper traffic, especially at rush hour. But New York, and I drive it all the time, the Meadowbrook, the Long Island Expressway, you know, the Northern States, Manhattan, traffic gets ridiculous. It's at a standstill. So even though you have plenty of mass traffic, everybody is so congested into a certain area that's not as wide as Florida that the traffic gets ridiculous. So when it comes to least amount of traffic, I give it to Florida, because even though we have traffic here, in my opinion, I don't feel it's anywhere close to New York traffic, especially during rush hour in the morning and around 5 to 6 o'clock. So that's my opinion. Comment below where you live in New York and tell me if I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, but every time I go, I get stuck on traffic. Here's my biggest one. Food. And the winner is, I'm going to tell you right off the bat, the winner is New York. I miss the delis. I miss the restaurant food. I miss the quality of food, the pizza. I miss all different kinds of foods in New York. And when I moved down to Florida, it was such a disappointment. I'm not saying I can't find good food in Florida, but it's hard to find good food like in New York. I could go to any deli. I go to a bagel shop. I miss New York bagels, and you know, and get the best bagels that there is. If I could ship them up here all the time, I would. But I don't know why it's so different, but it is. There is good places in Florida to get good quality food, but you have to search for it. On Long Island in New York, at a diner or something, for some reason, it's easy to find. Every time I sit down at a restaurant in New York, I automatically assume I'm gonna get a good quality food, you know, and delis and anything you want. Food is the winner in New York. So New York has the best food, hands down. If you disagree with me, mention it below, but I don't see any way that Florida could even compete when it comes to food in New York. At the end of the day, New York has a lot of benefits going on for it, and so does Florida. But Florida kind of wins, and the biggest factors are, you know, taxes and just cost of living and getting away from certain things, you know, just the crowds. I mean, Florida, you get to a rural area pretty quick compared to New York, unless you're going upstate. For me, Florida is best. For you, New York might be best. And I know a lot of people that moved to Florida from New York, and 6 months later, they moved back to New York. I'll actually link the video below or on the side here. So that's today's video. I greatly appreciate you guys watching it. As always, do me a favor. If you like this kind of content, consider subscribing. And you'll hit the bell notification so you get notified next time I upload a video. Greatly appreciate it, and have a great day. I'll talk to you on the next one. Bye.